enlightenment in the year 92 and has been a strict follower of Vedic principles since then. Mataji is serving as counselor for the congregation of Radha Gopinath Temple since 94. She is also an active member of Grihastha committee. She has been playing a major role in the youth preaching services and children's program. Mataji and her family also travels to Kolhapur to help preach there. She is a regular speaker in the monthly Girls Youth Festival, that is our own Chetana, and has been guiding and inspiring so many girls like all of us. She is a wonderful homemaker and mother, nurturing 3 amazing daughters, Radhika, Gandharvika and Rasika. So let us welcome Mataji to address all of us.
ओम अज्ञान्ति मिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः. श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. So we just saw in this hilarious drama that it's very difficult to change somebody's nature. All of you can come in front. There is one saying in Hindi, na, kutte ki dum tedi wo tedi rehti hai. It's very difficult to change somebody's nature. Just by changing the external situation, we can't change the person's nature. There is one joke that one thief was caught and he was brought to court, and he was very poor and he was wearing torn clothes. So when the judge saw him, the judge felt bad for him. Maybe this fellow is from very poor background. Maybe if he is given a chance, he will improve. So the judge told him, this time I will pardon you. I forgive you. We won't put you in jail, but you have to give 500 rupees fine and then you can go and don't do this again. So thief says, yes, I'll never do it again. So the judge says, you have to give 500 rupees fine before going. At least we are not putting you in jail. So this thief, he looks in his pocket. He sees he has only 100 rupees. He says, Judge Sahab, I have only 100 rupees. The judge says, no, you have to give 500. So thief says, just give me 1 hour. I'll get it for you. So we know how he is going to get it. Obviously he is going to steal. So you can't change a person's attitude or personality just by changing the situation. So there are so many jokes about politicians. Not all, let me clarify before I begin. When I say politicians or in the field of education or medicine, it doesn't mean everybody is corrupt. There are people who have highest degree of morals, ethics. There are people who are very committed. But generally such people are not allowed to survive. They are not allowed to survive because they interfere in your sense gratification. We ourselves know one doctor, surgeon, who is very, very capable in his work and very honest. And he was attached to a government hospital where accident cases come in. And many times they are asked to give wrong reports. Many times. And they are bribed. They are given lot of money. So this man, being a devotee, is very ethical. He would never take bribes, never take money. So he has been transferred out of Bombay. Because the superiors don't want him. Because he is interfering with their sense gratification. He is interfering with their chance to make money. So he has been removed, Raste se wo kya? Pair ka kaata nikal diya. So it's not that everybody is dishonest. But those who are honest are not allowed to survive. So there is this joke that, I am reading it, that once a politician, a Kenyan politician, went to the US to visit his counterpart. So when the senator invited him home for dinner, the minister was very impressed. He saw a lavish mansion, very opulent decoration, costly furnishings. So he asked the US senator, how can you afford this on your meager senator's salary? So senator, he gave a smirk, a very knowing look, and he took him to the window and he said, can you see that river over there? Yeah, I can see. Can you see the bridge on it? He said, of course. So the minister said, 10%. Means, in making this, I have pocketed 10%. So after some time, he paid a return visit to this Korean minister. And the minister took him to his house. And the US senator was amazed. It was 100 times more opulent than his own house. Terrifically opulent. So he said, how can you afford all this opulence on your salary? So the minister took him to the window. He said, can you see that river? He said, yes. He said, can you see the bridge? He said, there is no bridge. He said, 100%. He pocketed all the money. So we see that because of such things, no progress is made. We see flyovers are being made and then they are breaking. We see new buildings are being made and they are collapsing, or we see cracks in the walls. Why? Because nobody is content with getting what they deserve. They want to get that little extra for which they have not worked. So it's very sad. We may laugh at it, but when we have to experience it, when we are on the other side of the table, then we suffer, right? All of us, I'm sure, at some time or the other, or in the future we will experience what happens when there is corruption. You get frustrated. You get absolutely frustrated. There was I found one, what politics means. Poly means many, and ticks means, you know what are ticks? On a dog's body you have ticks, they suck blood. So politics means blood-sucking parasites. So it sounds funny, but it's sad that the people who are at the helm of affairs, who should be actually giving us protection, guidance. In earlier days, the kings were called Raja Rishis because they were actually sadhus. They were Kshatriyas being guided by the highest class or highest grade of sadhus. So they would take correct decisions based on the scriptures. They would not be selfish. They would be selfless. We have the highest example of Ram, who was willing to even sacrifice his wife so that it should not set a wrong example for his citizens. So it is sad that the people, the politics or the leaders of today, instead of guiding and supporting and protecting the praja, they are the ones who are exploiting. I remember when I was small, I had heard one song that चिंगारी कोई भड़के तो सावन उसे बुझाए, सावन जो आग लगाए तो उसे कौन बुझाए. That when there is a spark of fire, normally water extinguishes. But if water only sets things on fire, then who can extinguish? So if the people who are supposed to protect us start exploiting us, then what is the hope? What is the future for this country or for any country? And we may think that corruption is deep-rooted in India, but it's not like that. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Now, I don't need to go into the details of what corruption, where corruption. We are seeing it in headlines every day. Every day, today this leader is accusing that leader. Tomorrow this leader is, something about him is found out by the CBI. Every day, yesterday, day before yesterday, every day we are seeing some scam or some scandal connected to the ministers or the leaders. And it's not only in politics, it's in every sphere. Even in the field of education, I remember many years back, I had a cousin brother, he's still there of course. He was brilliant, very, very brilliant. And he appeared for his exam. He was in Karnataka. And he was sure to stand in merit. So brilliant. He was always topping in school. And when the mark list came out, he was devastated. He had failed, which was impossible. He had come home, he had checked all his answers, he had scored almost full marks in everything. And he was devastated. He sent his papers for evaluation, nothing. And there was another boy with him who happened to be a minister's son, who was a dud. And everyone knew that he was a dud. And he came in the merit. So it was an obvious case of exchange of papers or exchange of marks. But nothing could be done about it. nothing could be done about it because he had no power. He got mentally affected. He actually became a case and he had to be taken to the psychiatrist. So even in the field of education, there is cheating going on. There are the honest people also, but there are people who cheat. Now we see papers are being leaked out. How is it being done if everybody is honest? Right? And sometimes we may be a part of it if we take advantage of those things. So if we are not part of the solution, then we are part of the problem. So in politics, in education, in medicine, it's becoming a business. In earlier days, the doctors would give medicines. They would actually, it is said that Ayurveda acharyas, when the Ayurveda doctors would go, they would go into the forest and they would take out herbs. There was a time, there was a muhurta for removing those herbs. They would chant certain mantras, like even today devotees, when we pluck tulsi from the tulsi plant for offering, we chant a prayer. We don't just pluck. We pray that I am going to use you in the service of Krishna, so please allow me to pluck. We pray and we pluck. So plants have life. So they would pray, chant some mantras and remove, and then they would make the medicines with that consciousness, with that service attitude, and then when they would give that medicine to the patient, the patient would be cured, because it is not only the medicine but the consciousness of the person who is treating. His desire to help also would help. To the degree he is spiritually advanced, that also would help the patient. But now we see it's become a business. We see that wrong tests are recommended, unnecessarily things are recommended. My husband is a dentist and he had a patient who came to him and told him that I have a problem with my some urinary bladder, and I went for a checkup and I was given some very complicated tests and I was told that maybe it is cancer of the prostate and this, that. I was given so many tests. So we went and met the doctor, and after the doctor's examination, everything, we came out, and when they told us so many tests, they took a lot of money from us. So we again took a second opinion from somebody, and we again called back that, do we really need to do so many tests for this problem? So the receptionist would not even put the call through to the doctor. She said, you cannot talk on the phone, you have to come personally. When they went personally, she said, 1,000 rupees rakho, keep money. They said, we just met him and gone, we just want a clarification, because all these tests need to be done. Some we have already done before, some they told us are not necessary. She said, no, you have to keep the money. So they got so frustrated, they left from there, and then my husband directed them to a devotee doctor. And when the devotee doctor directed them to some specialist whom he said is very, very honest and he's an expert in his field. And when they went to him, he said, who told you all these tests? Just drink nariyal pani, drink lot of water, you don't need anything. You have no problem. So if he would have not taken that opinion, he would have maybe spent lakhs of rupees for nothing. So how do we know? Where do we put our faith? We may feel we are not actually affected by corruption or selfishness, but we are. Everywhere it will affect. If not today, then tomorrow. It is going to affect us. You get totally fooled. You get exploited. You don't even mind paying money, but you are not guaranteed that you will get your money's worth. When you give the money, you don't know. My husband, he was telling me that they have some students who come through quotas, sometimes through ministers' influence, they don't know anything. So saying one of their colleagues, he was since 11 years in the same department because he was not passing only. So he was considered to be senior most in the profession because he had not passed. So now he knew everything he didn't know about the studies yet, but he knew everything about the department very well. So one day one patient came and he was attending one patient, that patient, and the patient said, Saab, ye piche ka daant dukh raha hai, this tooth is hurting. So this man, he removed the wrong tooth by mistake. So this patient said, Doctor Saab, it was not that tooth, it was the other tooth. So this doctor said, tu chup bet, tujhe kya malum? Kida ye daant pe bet ke wo daant ko kha raha tha. Means, if you want, you can make mistakes and you can justify the mistakes that you have made also. So there are everywhere, in every sphere, there is cheating going on. There is cheating going on and we cannot be untouched. In the field of social work, my daughter was very sick some years back, and she was in the hospital for almost 6-7 months. So I had to be with her a lot of time in the hospital. And I saw other children coming in with the same ailment, and it was a very expensive treatment, and they could not afford, so they needed financial aid. So there are these social workers who help you out. There are many trusts, many trusts. Like somebody dies, they leave their money in a trust to help such patients. So there are many trusts who give money for such causes. So money is there in plenty. But unfortunately, it doesn't reach the patient. You give all your details, everything goes through, but half of it is on the way, here one cut, here one cut, here one cut. By the time it actually comes to the patient, it's negligible amount, hardly anything. It's very sad. It's very sad that it doesn't hurt somewhere in the heart. You're seeing that here there's a child who's maybe got cancer or some other ailment, and it's a matter of life and death. There also you cheat. There also you take money. So where are those ethics? Where are those morals? Nothing is there. It's just shallow. It's just empty. So now this has become actually a racket. Even we see when there's disasters like floods and famines, and the UNO, WHO, organizations, they give lot of funds when there are such disasters for the afflicted victims. But honestly, not everything reaches. Not everything reaches. A part of it may reach, but not everything reaches. On the middlemen take their commission. How? Doesn't it prick somewhere? I mean, don't you have a conscience? Doesn't it prick you somewhere that these people are dying? And how can I take from that? Okay, you earn. It is known that a businessman has to tell lies. When a fruit vendor comes to your house and you tell him apple kaise diya, he says 120 rupees kilo. And you say, nahi, kam karo. He says, Saab, jo daam mein liya, wohi daam mein de raha hu. I am giving you at the rate which I bought it. Obviously, he is telling lies. I mean, he wouldn't be doing business. So that type of lie is okay. He has to tell that lie. And you have a choice whether you want to buy or not. Somebody's life is not depending on it. But when somebody, by your decisions, you are actually hurting or affecting somebody's life, and still you go ahead with that decision, it means you have absolutely no conscience. Why? That we'll discuss. So corruption is rampant everywhere. Okay? We see it everywhere. Because ultimately corruption is what? It is just a manifestation of the greed in our heart. The earlier one? Okay, corruption everywhere. Corruption in the air. Politics, education, medicine, social work, everywhere. So it is ultimately a manifestation of the greed, the selfishness which is within our heart. What we are seeing is corruption. But it is just a symptom. The disease is what? The disease is inside. So, let's face it. We are all selfish. To some degree. We think of what is beneficial for us. First me, then you. The focus is generally on me. And generally, what is our mantra? What's in it for me? Mera kya fayda hai isme? Then I will do it. Otherwise, forget it. If this is going to benefit me, or it's going to line my pockets, or it's going to make me go ahead, then I'm interested. Otherwise, don't talk. Any project, anything comes up, the person who is signing and who has to forward it will say, first, what's in it for me? Tell me what's in it for me, then only I will sign it. Otherwise, I will not even sign it. Even the ecological disturbances we see all around us. We see that now there's so much of this tsunami, and there's volcanoes, there are floods, there's famine. That's because there's an imbalance in the earth. And why is there imbalance? Because of greed. Those who are mining, they don't think. They just go on digging, dynamite, blasting, more and more. Earth is our mother. And you are just exploiting her without even thinking of the consequences, about the imbalance you are causing in nature. So there is bound to be a reaction. How much greed? They are not satisfied with what they have. So it is said that we have inherited from our forefathers and we have borrowed from our next generation. We inherited from our forefathers. Whatever they left for us, we have got. But we are now borrowing from our next generation. That means we are even taking out from what they would have got. We are not thinking that our children, our grandchildren, will they have enough water? Will they have enough sources of energy? What will be the environment? What will be the atmosphere like when they grow? We are not thinking of the future. As long as I can enjoy, who cares? Who cares about what happens to others? So we don't think. When we use air conditioners, when we use things which cause global warming, we don't think. How many of us really sit and think that how will this affect the atmosphere? How, when I waste electricity, when I waste water, how will it affect the next generation? How many of us really think? Well, we need to think, because if we don't, then we are part of the problem and we will have to bear the reaction. The laws of karma say that for every action, there is bound to be an equal and opposite reaction. Even the smallest thing we do, there is going to be a reaction. Next. So the Sri Ishopanishad, which is one of the most important books, and Srila Prabhupada has translated this, it states that the Lord is complete and whole. Ishavasyam idam sarvam yat kinchit jagatyam jagat yena sarvena bunjita magrida kasya svidhanam. That the Lord is whole and complete. And because He is whole and complete, everything that emanates from Him is also whole and complete. So what does this mean for us? It means that the universe has been designed in such a way that is this whole and complete. It is fully sustained and maintained by the Lord. We don't have to actually do much. Nature provides everything for us. Everything that we need is provided by the Lord. If we just think, even before we are born, we are getting nourishment from where? From the mother's womb. Through what? Umbilical cord. Through the umbilical cord, we are getting nourished. We are getting nourishment from our mother's womb. When we are in the mother's womb, are we working 9 to 5? But still we are getting nourishment, right? Still we are breathing, we are being taken care of. So nature takes care. As soon as we are born, what is ready for us? Mother's milk. As soon as we are born, the mother's milk is ready for us. So nature gives us birth and nature provides whatever we need. As soon as we are born, whatever we need is already there in nature for us. In fact, it said even medicines. One of our devotees, he is in an NGO which does this ecological, things and eco-friendly systems and all that. So he was telling me that whatever sickness we may have, the medicines are always found around us in nature. Nature provides, but we don't have the knowledge, we don't have the time and patience, and also we don't use it correctly. We don't use it correctly. That's why we don't get the desired result. For example, Ayurveda, it will take the fruit and it will take the skin of the fruit also. Because the fruit may have some side reaction. But the skin of that fruit will act as an antidote for that reaction. But allopathy will take only the medicine without taking that outer part. So it causes side reaction. So nature provides actually everything for us. Whatever we need is provided. So this world is perfectly created for everyone's maintenance. So then how can there be scarcity? There are discussions about overpopulation and scarcity, but actually there is no scarcity. There is scarcity because of man's greed. The farmers are selling their land and on that tobacco is being grown, which you cannot eat. So naturally there is going to be scarcity. On that, plastic industries are being started. Infotechs are being started. So then how will there be enough food? There is enough land. In fact, it is said, even the materialist scientists agree with this, that 30 times more produce can be generated from land if it is used properly and sensibly. So the next verse of Sri Ishopanishad states that everything within this world belongs to a Lord. Ishavasyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat tena tektvena bhunjita magrida kasya siddhanam. That everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. So one should therefore accept only that which is his quota. So this is a very, very important principle. And it is very important for all of us to understand. Why? Because if you understand this principle, then there will be no corruption. If we understand that ultimately everything belongs to the Lord, it doesn't belong to me. I have been assigned or allotted something according to my quota. And if I use that, if I am satisfied with that, then there is no problem. But when we use more than that, what happens? We are competing with others. So the problem is not of shortage or overpopulation, the problem is of greed. If we have, I remember reading one story and I really liked it, that one man and his son, they went to a mosque. They were Muslims. They went to a mosque. And while doing their namaz, they bow down, right? It's very beautiful the way the Muslims in unison, all together, whether you are rich, you are poor, you are educated, uneducated, everyone sits together and they say their prayer together and they all bow down together. So, they all bowed down to do their namaz. And when he bowed down, some coins from his pocket fell out. Maybe some notes and some coins fell out. So he said his prayer and when he got up, that money had disappeared. So his son said that, Baba, the person behind you must have taken the money. Shall we ask him? Shall we confront him and ask him? So the father said, don't say anything, just come out quietly. So son was confused. Why he is not saying anything? This man has stolen the money. So when he came out, the father told him, he must be in so much need. Otherwise, why would someone steal in the Lord's home? The mosque or the temple is God's house, right? So he must be in such desperate need that he needed to steal in this place. So it's okay, Allah has given us enough. It's okay if he takes those coins, it's alright. Actually Muslims have this, they are supposed to give, it is a rule for them, they have to give charity. They have to give charity and they are not supposed to actually invest money and take interest. I don't know how many people follow it, but they are not supposed to take interest or do money lending because it's considered to be, high milti hai. When you give money on interest to people and they are in need and then they can't repay and it's a very painful situation. We see so many farmers committing suicide because they take money and then they can't repay that money and they keep repaying money all their life. But what they are repaying is just the interest because the interest rate levied on them is so high and then the only choice is the noose round the neck. So because of somebody's greed, somebody has to give up their life. So the problem is not that there is shortage of money or resources. The problem is man's greed. Srila Prabhupada would always give an example that if you place a sack of grain on the road, the birds will come, they'll peck, they'll eat a few grains, maybe they will tell their friends, "Arey, idhar pada hai," They will give their message, they have their networking. Within minutes, there will be so many ants, there will be so many birds coming and taking the grains. So they will take their little bit in their beak and they will go away. But if a man comes, what will he do? He'll pick up the entire sack and go away. He'll not take just little. He will take just the entire sack and he will go away. I remember when I was speaking a story of Tukaram Maharaj, one of the greatest saints in Maharashtra, that he is very poor and his children don't have much to eat and they want to eat sugar cane and nobody gives them. So they tell, "Baba, amala us khayche, we want to eat sugar cane." And he goes, he works in a field and he gets lot of sugar cane on the cart. One day he just gets lot of sugar cane. And when it is being brought, somebody comes and says, "Give me one." So he gives one. Then somebody else asks, then he gives them. Like that, children come and just start taking because he is not saying anything. And by the time he goes home, only 2 or 3 are left. So that is the nature of the devotee of our Lord. Why? Because he is not insecure. He knows the Lord has provided for me today, he will provide tomorrow also. Why do I need to hoard? Why do I need to accumulate? Because the Lord is providing. So the animals, they are living exactly according to the Lord's law. They don't hoard. Have you ever seen animals hoarding? Except for ants. They they hoard for the winter. We have that story of the ant and the grasshopper. But otherwise, generally animals don't hoard. They take only what is necessary. They are not greedy. We heard about this deer, no? The tiger and deer, they are enemies. Tiger eats the deer. But even a deer understands when the tiger is full. The deer understands that this is a tiger, this is not a man. He will attack only when he is hungry. You know, even the deer understands that. If the tiger has just eaten and the tiger is sitting, then the deer will fearlessly walk past him. You know. So I was looking for a picture of this on the net to show you all. You know, a scene of a tiger sitting and a deer walking, but I didn't get. I just got something else, and I saw this same episode, this story, this anecdote being told, and I saw the response which has come. So response comes like this, that, you know, you idiot, what do you think? Do you think we jump on every animal we see and we eat? We are not greedy like that. We also eat only when we are hungry. That is not the point being made. The point being made is that the tiger hunts only when he is hungry. Only when he needs, he hunts. Do we take money only when we need it? No, we take much more than we need. Now I was just thinking, what would a politician do with 200 crores? I mean, what can you do? Even for the rest of your life, if you eat not so you can't finish that much money. What do you do with so much money? You cannot be happy with having so much money. So the point is not that you don't jump on animals and eat animals. Actually, we had a video of that also, but I didn't put it here. That a tiger is running behind a deer, and then a man runs faster than the tiger, holds the deer in his hand and runs away. Competing with, you know, the man is much more smarter than the animals. So Mahatma Gandhi said that in this world there is enough for everybody's need, because nature creates, but there isn't enough for even one man's greed. There's an economics professor who said that the basic economic problem is what? Does anybody know? There must be so many commerce students here. What is the problem in economics? Balance between demand and supply. When the demand is more than the supply, then there is a problem. So what is the demand? That there are limited resources and there are unlimited desires. There are limited resources, but the desires are unlimited. So that is why there is a problem. But just think, if our desire is to serve, if our desire is to share rather than exploit, then there is no problem. So the problem lies not in the material situation. The problem lies with our attitude. So if we were just to understand this principle of Ishopanishad, if each one of us were to apply this principle, that we take what we need and we are happy to share the rest with others. We are happy to see others progress. We are not greedy. We are not envious. We just don't want things because somebody else has it. We want things when we need it. That is another thing. I'll touch that later on maybe. But generally we see an ad. Some celebrity comes and says, I have it, do you? And then we start thinking, do I? You know, oh, I also need this. But think, do I really need it? Sometimes we don't need it. Socrates once stood in front of a shop which was selling shoes. And he stood for a long time, and one acquaintance came and said, oh, Socrates, you're standing. And he thought maybe he doesn't have the money. So he said, do you need any help? Should I give you some money? So Socrates said, no. He said, you want to buy some shoes? He said, no, I'm just thinking that there are so many things here which I don't need. You know, there are so many things which I don't need. Actually, do we need? We don't need. I was reading once one article, some French president or some Brazilian president, I don't remember who, but he was caught in some scam and his wife had some 16,000 pair of shoes. I mean, all your life if you were to wear everyday new shoes also, you can't use those many shoes. Just see the waste. Just see the waste of money. And yet there are people out there who don't have even maybe the bare necessities of life. That is why then there is revolution, right? All of you have read maybe in history about France, the fall of the Bastille. We have all studied it in school. Why did it happen? Because Marie Antoinette, she was literally in the ivory tower. She was not in touch with reality. The people didn't have food to eat. The government, the rich were becoming richer, the poor were becoming poorer. And they came to the gates of the palace and they were banging on the gates. So she asked the minister, why are they banging? Why is there an uproar? So the minister said, Queen, they don't have bread to eat. And what is that famous sentence she said? Yeah. Oh, they don't have bread? Then let them eat cake. So much not in touch with reality. She took it literally. Bread nahi to cake de do na. But what it meant is they don't have food to eat. Not literally. And what happened? The palace was burnt down. She was killed at the guillotine. Her children were killed at the guillotine. So when we are not in touch with reality and we don't see what's happening around us, then there has to be a very, very severe reaction. Very severe reaction comes. But if we understand on our own, then we don't have to get that slap from nature. So if our desire is to serve and share, then there is no problem. Therefore, there is an urgent and desperate need for spirituality. Because without spiritual knowledge, nobody can become free from these vices of greed, of selfishness. It doesn't go. Unless there is a cleansing going on from inside, it will not go. So if we were just to understand this principle of the Ishopanishad and assimilate it in our own lives, to whatever extent we can, even so much, even a little bit, if we were to apply, then this world would be a much better place. Next. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, next. Bhoktaram yagya tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram surida sarva bhutanam gyatva mam shantim richati. Srila Prabhupada called this the peace formula. Actually, when Prabhupada was in New York, there was so much criminal activities going on and the police department was fed up. So Prabhupada actually told them that we will tell you how to reduce crime in your city. If you just allow us, we will tell you how to do it. Because this is actually the peace formula. If we understand that the Lord is the proprietor, benefactor and well-wisher, then what happens? He becomes peaceful. Just like Tukaram was peaceful. Why? Because we know that the Lord will provide for us. And if you are not thinking that way, then you will always think, I have to survive on my own strength. Accumulate, hoard, steal, beg, borrow, do whatever is necessary, gather more and more, more and more, more and more. But if you know that the Lord is the supreme proprietor, that He is our Father, everything belongs to Him and it should be used in His service, then where is the question of crime? There is no question of crime. There was this joke, not a joke actually, a pastime which occurred, that one thief, there was a person who was a criminal